You spin me right around, baby, right up. In all honesty, I kind of expected that. Anyway, hello everyone, my name's Archibald Ultimus. Welcome back to Ape Escape for PSP. Or Ape Escape on the Loose for the PSP. Because we couldn't call it Ape Escape on Remake because everyone would have been pissed off if that was the case. Or angry, I really don't know. It's not just me, but Spike's smoke trail for his spin isn't in place, right? Please tell me I'm not the only one who... Well, like, it looks sort of in place, but it, like, what do you call it? It doesn't look in place. I don't know. In all honesty, the only thing that would make this technically better is if Spike could move in the similar fashion of Crash Bandicoot or the Tasmanian Devil. That would be very much helpful. Not saying you'll have to have it, I'm just saying, you know, that could be a suggestion for Ape Escape 4? I know it's never gonna happen. Okay, I think after this particular level is either another Spike challenge, which I might end the video with, or another 3 levels for another era, and then I'll just do the first level of that one and finish off those last 2. Because I know a Spike challenge thing is supposed to come up at some point. It's supposed to happen. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to happen. But anyway, in the last part, we dealt with these last 2 levels of the new Friesland, or the Ice Age, as it were. I don't know, they really couldn't say, like, specifically, like, the Lost Land, they really couldn't call these specific eras here and there. Like, we had the Lost Land, which was, you know, dinosaurs. This was the Mysterious Age, which was somewhat like late Aztec. I don't know, like early Aztec? I don't know, it's somewhat of the earliest of jungles that was made by the monkeys. Well, not made by the monkeys. And then we have somewhat dinosaurs. And then finally, well, you know, we have the return of whatever's left of the well, not prehistoric, just whatever's coming up onto land, like sharks and other animals here and there. And some big creatures that are still around, but they're not dinosaurs. And then we have the Ice Age, which, I don't know. I think we might have a... No, I don't think we have a new gadget until later. There's gonna be a lot of monkeys that you need to capture in, what do you call it? In, later stages. Especially ones that are very big. Let's see. I'm trying to think. There's like, in this particular level, there is a good amount of monkeys in which you're gonna have to capture a lot of. Might as well, just get to this one. Okay, hopefully I can do... Oh, shit. Gotcha! I love doing that. I love doing the drop attack from above. It always feels awesome being able to accomplish that. Forget you! Yeah, haha! Your one weakness, composite Santa Claus. If anyone gets that reference, you know Robot Chicken. Anyway. Yes! That's the way you beat them, because they are very much a pain in the butt to deal with. Okay, let me go down here first. Wait. You know what? No, I think, very much think. Oh, wait, that's definitely a death trap. Oh, let's see. Oh, yeah, there's something down here. But I'm pretty sure in that cave are some breakables that I can't break. So, yeah, no, you know, I'm just gonna skip ahead. Or skip to this particular monkey, because it shouldn't be too hard. Of course. Aha! Invincibility frame, save me! You don't ever get that, monkey. Well, technically you sort of do. I think monkeys get somewhat invincibility frames, but you don't. But anyway, I did want to talk about, like, my little mention of Ape Escape 4 there for a second. Oh boy! Because, I know a little bit about the Ape Escape series, at least from hearsay and thearsay, you know, or hearsay and thearsay, in which some people have mentioned its existence, or at least as much recent news as you can get with a series like this. Because, boy, has it been through a bit of a, well, I wouldn't say rough patch, it's just not really too much of a revival, or return to it. Because, like, I know, like, in Japan, it's technically that particular place where this game shines the most. like where it's basically based in. So it mainly is up to Japan or someone in Japan to really like say, hey, you know what? Oh, apparently I didn't get hurt there, or I didn't get fall damage. It's up to whoever's up there in Japan to tell like the higher executives that, hey, maybe we should focus on another Ape Escape game or not. Maybe we should do that. Now let's focus on a PS Pro and then a PS Spider. Why? People might say, oh, because they compete against Scorpion. The usual. I don't know. I don't know. Like a lot of people have this particular argument and hearsay, hearsay issue with certain games here and there, particularly ones with involvement of Sony and technically Microsoft. But to be fair, Microsoft wasn't really around the longest, so I really can't like give them too much flack here and there because they barely like what do you call it? Barely started off game as a game company, so they're a little bit forgivable in this regard. A lot of games feel like as if they were shifting heavily into a particular genre of super hyper realism at the time. If anyone remembers that, then you were born around the early 2000s or so. Because trust me, there were a lot of games that were developed that were purely like what do you call it, action orientated and being hyper realistic, like what's it called? Like Call of Duty as a series as a whole, and some other games that try to emulate trying to be Call of Duty, and then there was like Uncharted, and I know like the early like 2000s, well, early 2000s. I know the early PlayStation 1's life cycle had like somewhat serious characters to a degree, like for example, Lara Croft, and a couple of other characters here and there, but technically speaking, they weren't really taking themselves too seriously, even as much as some people would like to believe. Look, listen, I don't care what you say. Even with Lara Croft nowadays, I will never forget that she actually fought a torso that was basically a giant torso of some type of weird Atlantean creature. I will never forget that. Also, I'll never forget the fact that she was basically polygonal. She had pointy boobs. That's as far as I'll go. But yeah, they weren't taken too seriously. But at some point, once I think the shooters started getting popular, people wanted to have more realistic graphics to them. So they said, hey, you know what? Let's have, more realistic games and no longer do the whole fictional, cartoonish aspect. And to be fair, they kind of did certain things sort of realistic, but not too much. And that's why certain platforming games did extremely well. And Sony is technically the one I do want to point out because they started off with like mascot characters that were so ridiculously absurd, like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, and oh dang it, there was a Spectre coin. I should have gotten that first. I didn't keep track of how many monkeys I had. Anyway, like there was like even Ape Escape, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Jak and Daxter, and Ratchet and Clank. These all games really started off during the well, actually, it's sort of in between. These characters were more cartoonish and not really taking themselves seriously. They had fun a lot, and they weren't really too serious. I'm not saying the games that we have nowadays aren't fun. It's just they weren't really all that serious. Because, you know, a lot of the times, a lot of games that, you know, appeared at the time weren't really all that really ridiculous, and they had limitations here and there. But, you know, storytelling-wise, they did a good job of making characters seem more happy and fun and just trying to be ridiculous. But now we sort of shifted away from that, and at some point in time, but we're sort of shifting back to that as people want the nostalgia of like goofy platformers and good games here and there, like what do you call it? Not Ape Escape in general, just like Mega Man or Banjo-Kazooie or Castlevania. We want those types of games back because they're fun to play. And that's my subject on it. I really do believe that we really just want to have a game to play fun, to have fun. By the way, I'll keep talking. It's just I'll be sort of skipping through. I don't know what you'd call it. I'll be playing through this part and talking, and if I lose, I'll just replay because I want to beat Jake in this one. I beat him in the last one, but I'm pretty sure he might beat me in this one, especially if I'm talking. Anyway, in the but that was basically it. And a lot of people want seriously new things that are somewhat realistic, and that's not a bad thing. I just what do you call it? And that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that's bad. Yeah, certain games were pretty cool, especially if they were realistic. But in all honesty, I'm not sure about certain other aspects here and there. It really all depends. And it really all depends on your opinions on these sort of things. I don't know. It really all it's really all interpretive on these types of stuff. So you know what? I don't know. You could say here and there. So you know what? It's either here and there for your personal taste. But I don't know. Personally speaking, I found the late 2000s to be ridiculous. And, well, late 2000s to be more, seriously based stuff. So, you know what, I can't really say either way of whether or not it was fully, oh, hey, it was fully less serious than anything else. It's because, well, let me face it, not too much really was. So, you know, I can't really say either way. Oh, come on! Oh, come on! Oh, I messed up. Quit. Restart. I'm restarting, I don't care. And so, you know, the whole ideas of cartoonish, ridiculous stuff like this were kind of a bit laxed or just not really non-existent at that point. I'm not saying that's terrible as a, what do you call it, a thing. It's just my opinion on the games were that I liked any game that was fun as long as it was fun. And certain games were fun, but they were taken way too seriously. And one of my favorite franchises that was out there that didn't get a release for a long time was Ape Escape. And I know technically speaking, it got a lot of releases in Japan because it got a lot of mini games, but those were mini games. And in all honesty, I would prefer seeing actually Ape Escape, an actual successor or just sequel to Ape Escape 3. Because Ape Escape didn't have a new game until I think it was until the last game, the third game in the franchise as a whole was in the PlayStation 2's era, which was a long time ago. And I think it was during the late part, but I could be wrong there. But seriously, man, Ape Escape, everyone's talking about Metroid Prime 4 or this game number 4 or a sequel number 4, but seriously, I would like to see I would like to see Ape Escape 4 release in somewhere. And you know what would be a good idea for it? If let me check what exactly the next area is just in case. Oh, I got Spectre Boxing. That's a good game. Well, good mini game. Anyway, at least I'm here. And oh, medieval. It says medieval, but we start off in the first 2 levels as a freaking Japanese-esque thing, and the last part's actually an Arthur Castle-esque thing. I know one could be Chinese and one could be Japanese, but seriously, this is I don't know. It's technically medieval, but it's kind of weird. At least for Americans, it'd be weird. But you know what'd be a good idea for an American? Well, not an American. Wait, I didn't get the spec corn in either of these 2 areas? Man, I'm kind of slacking. Anyway, you know what'd be cool for an American, or... Alright, I didn't get spectre coins here and there. I could've sworn I've been getting them since then. Well, I might just go back and get them, just purely because. But anyway, you know what'd be a good idea for a 4th Ape Escape game? If they brought all the characters back, all of them, like Spike, Jimmy, Kay, and Yumi, as all playable characters you can use, and they all have the whole transformational grid system game, or transformational grid thing that they had in the 3rd game, and just had the same gameplay as before, but they had the boss monkeys, the Freaky Monkey 5 again, but this time they have their own morph gauges and they could transform themselves. And maybe you could face them more than once and twice in between certain levels in there. And maybe, oh, and the story idea would be a little bit serious, but in all honesty, it'd be fine because it's technically cartoonish. But here's the idea: what if Spectre snaps one, finally snaps and decides instead of taking over the world, he destroys it because of they don't really go into Spectre's character too much, and in this game there's only a little bit of it where they show off that he's, what do you call it, he has an affinity towards one person in particular, and that's the caretaker, or the caretaker of the zoo that he loves. He does like the guy, or at least cares enough about that man, at least to ask Spike himself as to whether or not how that man is doing. And he asks him, like, oh hey, how's the old caretaker doing? And if that's the case, then that's fine. Like, in all honesty, that's like, hey, that's a little bit of a decent, like, thing saying, like, oh hey, he doesn't hate humans fully. So what if that caretaker dies, like, in between, like, the 4th and the 3rd game, and Spectre just snaps and says, you know what, I'm just gonna kill humanity, I don't care anymore. And at the end of it all, maybe the final true boss, instead of it being Spectre, is his helmet, because it's finally corrupted him into becoming so, like, ridiculously evil at this point, that he just, like, what do you call it, doesn't want to be that smart anymore, and he doesn't want to hurt people anymore, and the helmet itself could be a symbolization that he's accepted himself as a monkey now. Now you may be thinking, well, why would the, how would the helmet, like, immediately make him, less evil? Because, technically speaking, the helmet that he wore in this first game is malfunctioning, and it does make him evil. But at the very end of the game, at the very end of certain other levels, they don't really say it's like a corrupt helmet, it's just the helmet that he gotten, and due to his personality, because it's sort of changed. Although throughout the entire game, well, not throughout the entire game, just throughout the entire series, his plans have technically gone down a bit. Like, the first game was going through time and changing history. Okay, that's pretty big. The next one was trying to basically escape again, trying to conquer the world just normally with brute force, which was okay, I guess. I mean, it technically worked, sort of speaking. And then finally, the third one was trying to imitate, like, TV shows and make a TV network broadcasting station that made stupid shows that made people couch potatoes. And in all honesty, that was kind of a sort of low point in a plan, but it sort of worked, technically speaking, because credit where credit's due. Credit where credit is due. It actually worked for him at that point. But yeah, that sort of, like, really went downhill in plans. Like, oh, time travel all the way to this. Like, really, you could have at least tried to at least done something different, you know? But whatever. The real thing I look at when Spectre's backstory is involved or its progression throughout the series, is how much dangerous it's become for everyone. And, well, the first game definitely was very dangerous because it almost changed history and almost made everyone, like, under the monkey's thumb, as a lack of a better term. But in, like, the third game, it was more of, like, what do you call it? Yeah, it was conquering the world by brute force, which was more direct, which was okay, I guess. And then finally, the last one was just basically destroying the world, which was kind of more, like, even though the plans themselves were ridiculous going through the trilogy, it became more, more forced and more, sort of technically evil by a standpoint, if you count all the things that occurred, like the deeper meanings to it. And I know it's a bit, like, too ridiculous looking into this, but trust me, this is how desperate I am for Ape Escape 4. I want to see Ape Escape 4, damn it. But unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever see one, except for, like, spin-off minigames and stuff like that only appear in Japan. So yeah, thanks. That's gonna be so good. Ugh. Like, it's like a situation where you know a franchise is kind of gone that you can't do anything about. But anyway, I rambled on long enough. I hope you'll enjoy that video of me rambling again. This time it's only 4, and it's at the very end of the video, which I'm pretty sure some people won't skip, or possibly will skip. So if you're listening to this, you really should have watched the middle part, because that was a little bit better than me rambling at nothing for a few minutes. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. I doubt you do. Make sure to stay tuned and click the bell in order to stay, like, you know, alert on my videos. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Ultra Ultimate saying sayonara until the next video. Sayonara until the next video of Ape Escape on the Loose.